Welcome everyone to a new video. This is for Uranus transit into Gemini, which begins, as it says on the screen, in July of 2025. So I'm going to talk about what to expect with Uranus transiting into Gemini and a few dates and things and some of the energies involved. And then I will talk about each sign of the zodiac, and you can watch for your sun and rising sign to see what to expect with Uranus in Gemini and what part of your chart, etc. There will be timestamps under the video, but I am going to start with just the general energies, collective energies, what to expect. So Uranus will, like I said, go into Gemini from July 2025, and it stays in Gemini. Well, it does do some retrograde back into Taurus, by the way, so be aware of that. In 2025, it will start to go into Gemini. It only really goes to either 0 or 1 degrees. I can't remember off the top of my head now, but it doesn't make much progress far into Gemini in terms of degrees. And then it retrogrades back to Uranus in Taurus, being in Taurus. So, but then again, back into Gemini after that. So it is going to Gemini in 2025, and this hasn't happened for decades, since the 1940s. World War II was the last time Uranus was in the sign of Gemini. So, if we look back at history, there may be some things that we can see, some changes that occurred at that time with transportation, with how people's different communities maybe have shifted at that time, certain trends, certain styles of communication and inventions and things like that started to come out then at that particular time. We're going to experience the next level of that now coming into 2025. So some of the things on a collective level in society and in the world that we will see with Uranus in Gemini, in my personal opinion, and if we analyze the different aspects, so Uranus represents change, shocking things that are new technologies and new developments that happen suddenly and quickly. And then in Gemini is a sign that is ruled by Mercury, so it's a very quick energy as well. It is a sign that rules communication, local short distance travel, so transportation used for short distances. And it rules the eyes, the hands, how we communicate, like I said. And with Uranus and Gemini, I think we're going to see some big advancements in technology that happen suddenly, and they could really change the way that people communicate on the sort of smaller level. So when I say the small level, things like how we communicate with technology, computers, telephones, text messages, apps, all those bits and pieces. Gemini is like the small things, bits and pieces, and data, how data is processed, and things all related to technology. There will be a lot of changes, I think, in this next couple of decades. So some of the more specific, if I sort of home in more, I think there will be things obviously clearly advancing with artificial intelligence. And things could just happen very quickly with technology, where it's shocking and quick, and it's like, what, since when did we have this technology available to us, and since when is this happening? People might see things online and go, oh, I didn't know that in that city you could use that type of technology that we didn't have before. So it's going to become more and more technologies that are advanced and reflect the ideal of convenience, or the use of convenience, technology for convenience. So like, for example, now we have in some places, not something I see much here in Australia where I live, I'm sure it is in some places, but mostly overseas, you see like those robotic food delivery, which is kind of Uranus in Taurus, if you ask me, like the little robots that, they have the food at the restaurants on the trays and they deliver it to your table. And they even have like, for like, I guess, home delivery services that have things like that. So that's just one small example. But I also think, because Gemini rules local communities in the local area, I think people's communities are going to be changing and becoming more streamlined in the way transportation is used. So, cities that maybe previously were a mix of like even Sydney where I live, it's a mix of modern buildings and older style and, older historical buildings. I think things are going to be modernizing a lot more in terms of things like that, but also in regards to not just buildings, but and the overall look of a city. But I do think the transportation is going to be streamlined, made to be more efficient. So, for example, if you lived in a city before where you only most people drove a car, I think things are gonna be changing where there's gonna be other transportation available, like trams or fast trains, or trains that driverless trains that already exist. Like we have driverless trains here in Sydney. Not all of them are driverless, but some are. So things of that nature. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. That's up to humanity to sort of like, as a collective to realize what's safe and what works well, and what's potentially problematic for the future, as in if human beings, are made to or be pushed out of their jobs by the convenience or the higher use of technology, that could be problematic for the economy for different reasons. So, there's all that comes into it. So back to what I said before with Gemini ruling the eyes and the hands and the nervous system. These things could feature, these parts of the body could feature in the way technology improves. So there could be advances in eye surgery, and there already has been in the last couple of decades, what is it called? LASIK eye surgery or laser eye surgery, things like that, where people, may have lost their eyesight previously. They can now have, not everybody, but obviously there are certain groups of people that can have eye surgery and go from not being able to see at all very well to having 20/20 vision. So I do think there's going to be really positive advances in science related to technology, science advancements in the medical field to do with the eyes. Hands, that could be, anything in terms of what kind of advances relate to the hands, or what kind of something to do with the hands. I'm not quite sure, and then I'll come back to that, I think. The nervous system, so there could be where neuroscience advances, where we understand more about the human body, how the nervous system works, and maybe even things to do with more technologies helping people that are paralyzed, for example, to be able to use the eye-hand coordination in some new way, or to say people that are quadriplegic, they can't, move anything from the neck down. Those people may be able to benefit from some advances in technology that relate to these things. I think we're going to understand things like human communication on a new level with this transit coming in, and over the next 10 years or so. Yeah, so how these technologies can change communication and understand how the human mind works, because really, we don't still really understand that much or everything really about the human brain. So there might be more advancements in neuroscience, for example, with Uranus in Gemini. Yeah, so there may also be things to do with holographic technology or projection of images. I know there are things like you can go and watch like a Michael Jackson. I mean, I don't know if it's happening now, but it was a thing before that you could go watch a Michael Jackson concert, even though he, is no longer living. You could see based on holographic technologies and all this kind of stuff. There may be more things like that happening. And I think also there's going to be advancements in understanding not only just the human mind on the practical sort of physical level, but also higher consciousness and how psychic development, telepathy, definitely, because I think telepathy is just an obvious one, because Gemini is a dual sign, and it's a sign that's ruled by Mercury, the mind. So clearly that's to do with telepathy to me, if you just break down and analyze the planet and the sign. Uranus is the higher consciousness. So I think there's going to be a lot more telepathy available, as in humanity's consciousness is expanding. So naturally we'd be able to access different levels of higher levels of communication than just the normal daily level of verbal, or I mean, of course, there's non-verbal communications, of course there is, but I'm talking about a higher level of communication that is not really, hasn't really fully been studied by science. I know there have been some studies involving psychic abilities and things like that, but it's not something that's readily talked about or in the mainstream by any means. So I do think that understanding human consciousness and the sixth sense and all the different clairs, like the clairvoyance, I think understanding that, people are going to be way more curious about that stuff. There's already been an awakening around those things, people waking up to the understanding that there's more than the material world when it comes to life on Earth. But I think there's also going to be more studies into things like near-death experiences and human brain activity with regards to the psychic side of things, or telepathy or dreams, lucid dreaming, things like that as well. There's going to be changes, I think, also in the way that people communicate. So there could be more things where we see a shortening of language. I mean, that is already a thing. There's, slang has existed for forever. And yeah, but I think there's going to be like shortening of communication or quickening of communication, making communication more efficient. And I think universally there's going to be even greater information available to people because Uranus in Gemini, I think, will naturally facilitate that happening. Some of the technologies could be surprisingly quick. Some of the new ideas that come out could be even shocking, because Uranus is the shock of the new. And in Gemini, things could just come to light very suddenly. I also feel with Uranus in Gemini, information is going to be accessible to everybody in, like with the internet, but in a different way. And I'm not sure what that is yet, but we're yet to see how. But it's like information is going to be everywhere more than it is now. So I'm also making future predictions as I say these things, so I don't know always how it's going to manifest exactly. But this transit can also relate to space travel, but because it's Gemini and it's shorter distances, it might be, things that involve like testing out certain things in space, but maybe they're not going that far, or the missions that that are involved, they're not as they may be shorter trips, if that makes sense, because of the fact that it's in Gemini. I think that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about there. But there is going to be some rapid changes in, like I say, in technology, in the way we communicate and short distance travel. Oh, the other thing I was going to say was, yeah, because Gemini is such a youthful sign, we will see something in society around possibly new ideas around staying youthful. So, where previously people would do things like inject chemicals into their face. Oh, awful. Each to their own, but it just makes me cringe as someone with the 6th house stellium and a lot of Taurus for natural things. But I think there's going to be great new ideas around staying young that are not necessarily invasive, that are not necessarily involving chemicals and not necessarily bad for you, but maybe things like yoga, or something that you just wouldn't expect, that is an offshoot of something that we already know about. And there's going to be a whole thing about, I think, in the next, 10 years, to do with this youthfulness, like, and it's already been a thing, I know, but it's with Gemini, it's such a youthful sign. It's a young sign. And then, we're also going to have a Neptune going into Aries as well. So that's also a youthful sign. There's going to be some kind of breakthroughs or breakthrough in understanding of what keeps people young, and even reversing age. And yeah, I'm really seeing that, like, intuitively, that's such a thing that I definitely know is going to be a thing. There may be a bit of obsession with that though, with these energies. But yeah, that was the last thing I want to say. I'm going to move on now. I'm going to talk about each sign. Okay, so next we'll talk about from Aries to all 12 signs. Like I said, listen for your sun and rising to see the influence of Uranus in Gemini for you. So Aries, this is going to be in your third house. Wow. Lots of learning new things for Aries. You could move and have an experience of like starting a new life in a new community, something like that. You could meet new friends or meet people in your soul tribe that you feel a really amazing connection to. You could meet new friends in a very unexpected way. You could start to connect with people in your local community more in a new way. You can have new ideas that really bring a lot of mental stimulation to your life, that bring a lot of creative surges, and you could be embarking on a new path of learning. Okay. There could be changes in the life of siblings if you have them, Aries. And the other way this could manifest is being more involved in your community. If you've been a bit of a hermit, then you could get more involved in your community through people that have similar ideas to you. Moving on to Taurus, sun and rising. This is in your second house of finances. So for Taurus people, there could be a new way of earning money, something that is unexpected, definitely changes to your finances in some way. That possibly could give you more freedom, or that involve online, or, you know, if you want to change jobs, you're traveling far for work, you decide to get something more local, that would be something that could happen because of Uranus in Gemini in the second house. You could find that you are revolutionizing your ideas around what's important to you, what you value, what your self-worth needs to feel good, or what you need to feel a sense of value. So your values could be changing. And you could earn money from something related to communications or technology or the internet. Next is Gemini. So for Gemini, this is your first house of self, your own path. So there is going to be a lot of change for Gemini. Sudden change could happen in your life. That's just, maybe you don't even really see it coming yourself, but you could find yourself on a new path in the next couple of years, or the next, depending if you're an early Gemini, like really early, next year's, and the year after is going to be big for you. But if you're further into Gemini, if you've got till 2033 basically for the changes. So this is not all happening in 1 year. So I want you to remember that this is happening. Starts 2025, goes to 2033. So if you're a late degree Gemini, you won't see big changes in your life till 2033 or 2030, 31, 32, 33. But you might have other things that are causing change in your life, other transits, but this is just for this one influence. But expect your life to change, because if you've been stagnant in any way, that's going to be shifting over the course of this transit. Cancer, this is in your 12th house of your subconscious mind. Wow. So Uranus is in your 12th house. You could have sudden insights, Cancerians. You could be very tapped into your intuition and even telepathy with people that you're very connected to. You could have psychic dreams, or being given information by your guides, or downloads in your dreams, or not in your dreams, but it's definitely quite feeling of awakening to new aspects of your psyche that maybe you haven't explored before. So this will be interesting for the Cancerians. Leo, this is in your 11th house of groups, friendships, and wishes fulfilled. So there's definitely, looks like, some unexpected developments in friendship, maybe letting go of old friendship and new friendship coming in, possibly. It can be connecting with groups in a way like online, or through writing groups, or creative collaborations involving writing, technology, language, creative projects, sharing information, and definitely energy around like meeting soul family for Leos. I do see that. Virgo, this is in your 10th house. So there's definitely changes to your status, your career, your long-term goals and aspirations. And there could be sudden change. So if for Virgo rising and sun, if you're in a long-term situation, whether it's career, marriage, commitment that you're not happy in, with Uranus in Gemini, it's shaking up that part of your chart. So you can expect big changes from 2025 to 2033 in those more long-term aspects of your life. Maybe you're going to change career and you're just like looking at something completely different, or maybe you're going to get married all of a sudden, or maybe you're leaving someone and going to have a new relationship. It could be any of the above. Libra, ninth house of overseas connections, long distance travel, and higher learning. So you could embark on studying a new course, something that expands your mind or is technology related, communication, innovation related. You may want to travel suddenly or you may have opportunities to travel suddenly, either overseas or to go and do something really adventurous. You definitely have a lot going on in your mind, and information can be coming in quickly. You could be utilizing technology more in your life for your communications, for your learning. You could want to do some writing, even public speaking, things like that can come up as well. Scorpio, this is in your 8th house. Wow. So for Scorpio, that is the Pluto house, which is the ruler of your sign is Pluto. So this is powerful. This could bring really unexpected developments in your life when it comes to intimacy, or when it comes to other people's money, inheritances, or things to do with banking, taxes, loans. There could be unexpected developments in those areas over the course of the next 10 years or so. So yeah, that's interesting. Personal conversations or private conversations could lead to big realizations, and you might use more technology in your life to generate income or passive income or things of that nature, Scorpio. You could also find yourself attracted to people that you have an intimate connection with in a way that people that are very different to previous people that you've been connected with as well. Sagittarius, this is interesting because this is your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. So this could bring in unusual people into your life, unusual relationship dynamics, people that are in and out of your life, friendships that become suddenly something else, or, vice versa. People could seem unstable in your life, or you feel like people are less reliable than they have been before. You may meet new friends, though, and new connections that really spark an interest and a lot of mental stimulation as well. Capricorn, this is in your 6th house. You will be changing your work, most likely. If you're not happy with the work you're doing, you could change jobs, but this could also be changes in the workplace that you need to adapt to, like changes with the technology in the workplace, the way the computer systems work, the way the communications work. There could be restructures going on in the workplace for a lot of Capricorns. Some Capricorns will have different job situations or a lot of changes in their working life. Health-wise, you do have to watch overstimulation with this particular influence in your 6th house, because your nervous system can be more sensitive than it was before. And you can go through a period of feeling very sensitive on the level of your nervous system. So, maybe having a pet could be very calming if that works for you, or not being on social media as much because you're finding it too stimulating mentally that it feels out of balance. But new healing technologies could appeal to you. So like, working with vibrational frequency or music that's healing, or something like speaking, writing, journaling, but maybe something on a different level as well. Aquarius, this is in your 5th house. So interesting. This could mean there's some new romantic developments in your life, but because Uranus is in the 5th house for you, this can be very on and off energy of something that is exciting, but maybe not necessarily that stable. So you could have like, a new love affair if you're single, or if you're looking for that, but it may be a bit on and off, or maybe not the most stable thing. But you could learn a lot from it, and it could be very mentally stimulating as well. Like you could learn a lot from the experience. For some Aquarians, there could be sudden pregnancies or sudden changes with children as well. And lastly, for Pisces, this is in your 4th house of home life. So there could be sudden changes with home life where you decide to move, even if you didn't think you were going to move. That could happen in the next 10 years. Renovations, changes in the home life, but things that happen suddenly because, you know, maybe something changes and you have to do some kind of change. It could be to do with technology, like maybe your setup changes with the way you have your technology set up in your home, or the electricals, things like that. Could be sudden or unexpected developments around those as well. And what else? Family issues. There could be sudden unexpected developments with family. So sudden changes, having to make sudden trips for family members or to help family members, things like that could happen as well. So that was just a very quick rundown, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. Thanks for watching. Bye.